I thought about what I wanted, where I wanted to live. So I took my lumber and I made tiny little 2x4s and 2x6s. It wasn't easy cutting up such small pieces, working with such tiny little lumber. Literally half the wood comes out as sawdust, and then there are all the little pieces to cut up when doing a project like this. I wanted it to be an accurate representation of an actual house, of a house that I would build. I wanted real studs in the wall, joists around the floor, rafters on the roof, an actual little tiny house. And this presented the perfect opportunity to play around with scale. Because when you make your own house, when you build your own house, you don't necessarily have to conform to conventional standards. In my tiny house model, I wanted 24-inch centers instead of 16. And then I realized I can also fit 2-foot wide windows without needing headers, thereby saving materials and weight. And as you can see by my 1/12 scale model, it definitely looks proportional. When working on this project, I thought about the floors and the walls, just as I have built structures in the past. I thought about where the windows should be, how I could see my books from the outside, and how I would feel up in the loft. I was also thinking about my floor, and I decided that 12-inch boards would look really nice, and then I would oil them for a nice finish. And when making a model like this, I mean, people think about when they are young. I mean, who wouldn't want a model house that's actually real? That's not made out of plastic, that is proportional, that's to scale. I mean, I think this is the greatest way to learn how a house is actually constructed. Like a roof, for example. How is a roof actually made? What do the rafters look like? And how far apart are they? How does the sheathing attach? And how does that relate to your structure in terms of scale and proportion? Of course, here I can take my little roof off and really see it, and I see my loft as well. And then I can put my roof back on. Of course, there's so many parts to constructing a house. It's raising the walls, connecting them together. When you build a house for yourself, you get confronted with things you normally don't interact with. Most people are far removed from the process of building and construction, and they generally don't think about the forces that affect a house. Forces such as weight, wind and water, or resources like electricity that often are left for others to think about. Building a house, building furniture, making anything really is a journey in problem solving, figuring things out as you go along because you have no other choice. When I think about my tiny house, I think about it as a place to read and think and live without the concern of others. In many ways, the individual does not need much to live and thrive. Every great thing started with a table and a chair. You can sleep on the ground, you can leave comfort behind, but you work at a table, sit on a chair, write with a pen, study books, and observe the world around you. When it came to painting my house, I decided to go with milk paint for no particular reason other than I wanted the opportunity to play around with pigments, and they seemed to be of the appropriate scale. And I oiled my floors and the back of my roof with boiled linseed oil. There's just something about the concept of tiny houses and people doing this all over the place that appeals to me. I love that people are taking back their skills. While you may hear on the news that people are unskilled, there are many people who are relearning what their parents and grandparents tried to get away from while they hid away in the suburbs or packed themselves into the cities. Skills on how to build, grow food, and live independently, which were seemingly lost to the industrial process. I think the tiny house movement is in many ways about people taking control over their economic future and taking back their skills and independence, striving to live more authentic lives.